Thanks to the Duke over at Saw Salvage. I actually bought 2 of these, so thanks, Chris, for sending this out. Um, yeah, we'll check it out. The idea here is we're going to do live a 440 build with a 460 big bore 54 millimeter top end. Did this a while ago. I think Mason's still got it, hanging out with that. So let's do a little bit of cleanup, and then we'll do this. For those people that haven't done this, haven't hung out before, this is all live. So yeah, never know what's going to happen. I'm going to do some cleanup while we hang out and wait for people to show up. I see 5 people here, 4 people here. So let me bring you guys up here. For those people that are doing this for the first time, this is a whole lot more fun if we if you chat not and hang out live as opposed to watching this later. It does get a little boring. So put you down there. Let me get a vacuum here. Got a bunch of projects that I need to finish, and I do have something for sale, so hang on, guys. Jersey Joshua, get a beer. Steve, wonderful. How are you? And Harry, great. Welcome. As you can see, it isn't even open, so I don't know what I don't actually know what I'm getting into here, but let's have a peek and find out. So there's a bunch of stuff you got to do in order to do a hybrid, because you have interferences with the chassis and whatnot. So we got to work on that. But in order to actually find those interferences, you actually have to get the cylinder to mount on the chassis. In order to do that, you need a bunch of other stuff to be done. So, okay, here we go. This is like, where do you start? That's the question is, where does this all start? And it actually starts with being able to fit the cylinder to the chassis. And did I dig out of the snow? Sort of. Sort of. Did some tractoring. Alright, so I almost don't even care what the ports look like, because this is probably going to change quite a bit. Squish band is nice and flat and wide. Pretty square intake. Nice rounded exhaust. So actually looks pretty good. But it doesn't really matter, because a lot of it's gonna change. Square on the intake. Round exhaust. Looks fine. Please tell me you've seen prices on the Just Send It to Us. I have not. People can charge whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned. And sure, that type of stuff definitely seems a little bit on the intense side. But they can charge whatever they want. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. Well, so it's $1,400 for a 460 bore on a hybrid on a 440 chassis, not including port work. The thing is, like, at the end of the day, it's just a saw, so it's only worth X, Y, or Z, whatever. But the amount of time that goes into it, like if I was to charge you a regular hourly rate for this, I'd probably have to charge quadruple that price. I don't know. What's my hourly rate worth, and how much, how much am I, how much is experience worth? How much is the hourly rate worth? Um, Et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I tend to think overall that there are some people that are charging. I think $300 for a port job is too low, personally, because of the risk that's involved if something goes wrong. I think people that are charging $300 for a port job is too low. I think $1,000 for port work is probably a little bit too high. But then again, I don't, you know, because it's only worth so much. I mean, it's chainsaw, right? It's not. Uh, this is not racing. We're not talking about straight up racing. We're talking about work, port work for work saws type of thing. So, um, I don't know how these guys that are pros at porting get away with doing things for so low. I think $300 is light for port work. Now, for building a saw, it's a bit different. At the end of the day, is your time worth that kind of money? Yeah, it's probably worth that kind of money. Um, but is the product ultimately worth that? Yeah. That's the problem. And that's where the hobby versus the business kind of, I think, clashes here. You know what I mean? So when I build stuff, there's usually a little bit of a fee on top of it. But if I'm actually trying to get my hourly rate, like I would make elsewhere, I mean, with the amount of time I spend, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. So if those guys want to charge whatever they want to charge, as far as I'm concerned, they can charge whatever they want. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. Doesn't mean it's ultimately worth it. I have a hard time making that judgment myself because then it doesn't be then it's not hobby. It's not hobby anymore. I don't know. Everybody's welcome to think what they want. So if you disagree with me, disagree with me. If that's fine. If I was to try to quote somebody and try my regular hourly rate for a chainsaw build, it would be a lot of money. It would be a lot of money. But that's not the idea here. The idea. No, it's a really great question, actually. I mean, and the problem is that you can come off like a big jerk in a hurry. You can really come off like a big jerk in a hurry. I think that kind of money for a 100% Chinese saw is unreasonable, probably. Then again, it's hard for me to judge. Like, again, if I was trying to get my usual hourly rate, I mean, there's just nobody on the planet Earth that would pay that. You know what I mean? I just, at the end of the day, it's a chainsaw. Four shiny quarters and a sturdy handshake. Yeah. So everybody's time is worth something different because their levels of expertise is different. There are people that grind a whole lot better than I do because, maybe I've done 100 port jobs, maybe 150. I don't know. But there are guys that have done thousands. Thousands. Should they be charging more than $300 for a port job? I think so. Again, because of the risk involved. Like, if something isn't tightened down just right, something loosens up, and then you know, instead of making money on the port job, now you're losing money because you have to buy the customer a brand new cylinder head or something stupid, you know. And then it gets down to the question of warranties. Are you offering a warranty? If you are, you know, great. If you're not, fine. Some people do, some people don't. All kind of different things. You see what I'm saying? The real question is, am I going to end up Freeport? I don't. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I think it's this type of thing tends to be a really touchy subject. Yeah, whatever the market will be. Like if you're you're right. I mean, if I can pour it a chainsaw and slap it on eBay and get $2,000 for it, I mean, awesome. But odds are that person that pays grand is going to have also significantly higher expectations than somebody that pays 700. So, you know, I bet it'd be worth it, right? Personally, I'm not there, you know. I my time might be worth that towards something else. Is it worth that towards this? Probably not. So this is actually a 440. Oh no, I do the grinding that I think it needs, whatever that might be. Uppers, lowers, that type of thing, you know. Just whatever it needs, it gets. Don't always go completely crazy. And I think the guy talking about this on OPE forum too is like, well, how many levels of port work do you offer? Well, really one. Because I kind of do what I think the job seems to need. So check this out. I'm going to use my spray pen here. Let's see. That's going to be the wrong color. I can use black, but should I use black? Watch this. If you want to mark something, so I'm going to use this 440 gasket as a stencil, essentially. Let's see if it worked. Sort of. So on this, in order to actually do everything that needs to be done, I mean, there's going to be hours and hours into this head. It's going to be a lot of time that goes into this head. Because I have to grind down the exhaust in order to get that to fit. I have to 10 minutes on YouTube about porting. Like you said, there are other guys that are doing this. So, you know, if you like what he's doing, that's great. Good for him, and hope everybody learns something from everybody, you know? So, yeah, so I've got to grind basically in there and make sure, because I got to make room for the bolts. Oh, it will. Okay, the fully done one will. All right. And right now, like, my goal here is not really even to necessarily make videos that are super useful to everybody. I mean, a live video is not going to have tons of utility, but it's an opportunity to hang out with you guys and answer questions and that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I I, I have all kinds of fun just hanging out with you guys. So I'm just making some room here for the bolts. All right. And the next thing is I have to. God, you got to grind on these things so much in so many different spots. So the next thing I have to do is actually I have to enlarge these holes so I can get a wrench down in there proper. There's a lot of work to do on these things. There's still room on the lands there for heads, so that's good. Okay, get rolling. I'm here. Good. We're gonna do the 440 hybrid thing here. So this is a 54 millimeter head I got from I think it's sawsalvage.co, which is the Duke, Chris Theroff. So if anybody needs, I got them off eBay. This does not like big jerks. Who's being a big jerk? Who's being a jerk? I'm a jerk plenty. I know that. So overall, it's the bolt pattern is narrower in both directions, so you have to make a little bit of loosey goosiness here for that. Right, right. happen to have the base gasket here. That needs a little more in. That definitely needs a little more that way. Okay. Hang on, let me check the video. Hang on. It looks good on my phone here. On my phone, it's good. On this, the internet's a little slow. That may be the issue. Jersey, just up the voltage on that helmet. It'll be fine. Okay. Still down. Down a little bit more. Down, down, up, over. Okay. do it. A lot of tinfoil. I feel for you, man. I'm gonna go out to the store and get some, obviously. And a little, just hairs now. I'm sure it's possible to do this in some type of a jig rather than freehanding it. But for now, I'm freehanding it. Okay. If you do you have it on auto resolution? Check and see if you just put it to 1080 and see what happens. Light here's no good. Sorry. Oh, should do it. So, what's next? Probably put the cylinder on and see if I can figure clearances, right? That can make sense. Oh no, I actually have to drill bigger holes here just so I have a little bit of play. Hey, Alpo. I gotta drill bigger holes down here so I actually have more play for, of wrench, really. That's next. I go slowly here. Finally made it, Mega. About time. There's 3. Alpa, where are you from? Again, it's Finland, right? You out in Finland? Open up one more here. Good. I like this little drill. The battery's kind of dead, but I do like it. Yeah, this is going to be a job. This is not. Wait till you see me take the sawzall to this thing, because that's coming. Well, let's see, when do we do that? To chop like all these cylinders, all these fins off. I may not do that now. I really don't necessarily need to, but. Ears. Okay, so on the other head that I had to chop off like these fins over here with the sawzall because the top cover would not fit otherwise. Do that? I should probably just do that. I don't remember exactly how much I took off either, but it doesn't really matter. I know. Everybody's going to say it. A sawzall and a cylinder head. Yep, a sawzall and a cylinder head. And this is just to make sure the top cover fits over this. Ears again. Okay. So already quite a bit of work to the head. That's definitely not all of it. I'm going to have to adjust squish. So, but even in addition to that, this is potentially too thick. The exhaust here is potentially too thick. So I have to take off like literally as much as I can, about 1/8 of an inch, and then it'll be sort of okay. More bits. Hang on. Okay, next is to avoid lots of grinding with the case together. With the case apart, here I can see what's interfering. The answer is not too much. Something's rocking. Oh, what's rocking? I can take off a little here. Maybe a little bit under there as well. Again, it looks clear on my computer screen, or on my phone screen, rather. Can blame it just on the sucky internet, I guess. That fits. At least, I don't know if it bolts down, but let's try bolting it down and see if that actually goes. A couple of random M5 bolts doesn't need to be anything amazing. good thing that's backwards. Ugh, Matt. Somebody's supposed to tell me. Like, no wonder it fits. Did you put it up backwards? Oh, man. Alright. Time to go laugh your asses off. It's no fun. Yeah. Much funnier if I come to the conclusion that I'm an idiot myself, you know? Yeah, I know. Oops. That wouldn't be the first time that something like that's happened. Yeah, so there's a fin like right here, and if we drop the cylinder any, I might as well just take the darn fin off. Because if you drop the cylinder any, it's just going to run right into that. I love redoing things 2 and 3 times. Fantastic. Yeah, this little fin here I can just grind straight off, get rid of it. Because it will definitely interfere later. There's actually plenty of room. Even if we drop the head, there'll be plenty of room, at least on this side. Okay, that's good. So yeah, just need to take that little fin off. Okay, that's that side. 2 people watching. I know. Nobody wants to watch me do a 440 build. That's okay. All right, let's do. So we actually checked this case half with some Sharpie marker with dye, and there's nothing coming through. So it's just a little bit bulged, but that's going to be fine. So no worries there. Real trick today would be if I can get a squish number and I can send the head out for port work. Is that stripped? Ooh, stripped. Gonna have to put an insert in there. Great. Well, I want to see what squish is, and then I'm going to send the head down to Mike Shetley and tell him to do his dirty work on this. But we have a... So I have to fix that before I... The only place it could be interfering is right dead center here, and if we drop the head, it's definitely going to touch. So I got to grind that. I've got to grind the chassis away by a little bit. So it'll have about 20,000 squish, preferably with a gasket when I'm done, but I did not realize that was a Waller bolt hole. both M6. Great, now we got a mystery. Some like stupid mystery of these things. What am I doing? I don't know. Did these get run out to M6? They did. Drifty, welcome. Yeah, so these, so this side got run out to M6. These are not. Those held fine. Those are M5. This side, somebody overboard them here. So the easy thing to do is actually put inserts in. Man, I use a lot of inserts. I don't know about you, but yeah, don't worry. We're gonna do port work and everything on this, Brett. We got all kinds of work to do on it, including port work. Can't believe. Bit of buffering. Looks good over here. I'm here. Yep. Just want to see if I can go to 720, which it will do. Yeah. Okay. I guess we're going to do some inserts. Here's the inserts. You can get these at HL Supply for anybody who's interested. They're M8 and M5. So M5 internal, M8 external. Bit of stepped drilling here. Drill bit. So this is M8. just take your tap and run her in. Now that they don't have space, so. That ought to do. Space here. I hate using tap holders. Don't even know if these go big enough. Yes, they do. What I'm going to do here is just tap this for 10-8. Through. Now you're tapped. Noisy. Let me put this away. Taps away. Need those again. It's amazing what you find when you use chainsaws. Okay, we're back. Sorry. Don't know what my internet's doing, but whatever. A little tiny bit flash here. bit of a burr. Okay, we're back. Do some JB weld. Yeah. I think my phone had to refresh. I don't know. Get that fully down in just a minute. Yeah, this should be a really interesting build, actually. Very interesting. Usually what I'll do is I actually put a little bit of flats on these. Didn't do that this go, don't know why. A little bit of JB weld. These get driven in. Yeah, I'm actually kind of hoping that Mason gets some video of the other one wood. There should be video of that at some point. I just don't know when. Slightly below flush is fine. Yeah, that'll be good. So yeah, Mason's channel is Average Timber Cutter. It's all one word. Okay. So 2 inserts. Should be pretty strong, actually. What's next? Right now I gotta check and see if this actually fits, but I know that I have to grind here first. lots of little fitment issues on these saws. Lots of fitment issues. Okay. Why is that hole there? Yeah, we even have 50 thousandths to drop without too much trouble, I think. So, yeah. Need a couple of things right now. One is the top cover, one is the muffler. So I think, so one way to do these mufflers is actually to add a spacer, because the muffler sticks out too far. Also seems to be clunking into this. So what I actually need to do, instead of having a spacer, I can just take, when I've got this thing on the Bridgeport, I can just take roughly an 1/8 of an inch off, and then I'll have room for the shield at least. I don't know about the gasket, but I'll have room for the shield at least. So I need to take an 1/8 of an inch of thickness off of here if I can. Hey, Bob. Next thing would be top cover fitment. Don't know what's going on with that rubber piece. Alright, so in retrospect here, what do I need to cut off? Yeah, I did need to cut off those fins. Maybe not quite to the extent. I've got about an 1/8 of an inch of space now. But this little fin has to go. this fin. This fin here is in the way. It's in the way of this rubber bumper sitting down proper. This little fin here has to go too. So I think that gets the major fitment issues out of the way. Now we need to put the crankcase together and get a squish number. That's what I need to do. Yeah, I guess you could do the spacer for the exhaust, but I could just put this on the Bridgeport and cut that down too. Yeah, I'll bet, Bob. And just to make it worse for you, just to make that a little bit worse, I'm gonna have more of them. So that's not the only ones, but I do really need to move that one just to make room for the others, kind of. If you get my drift and my meaning. Yeah, it's a great start to a really clean saw. They're really beautiful. No more pain. Well, that's my problem. Is if I don't sell those, then I have a hard time paying the bill. I gotta pay Mike for the powder job that he did. Pay for the cases. Pay for more repairs. For more powder. Keep it going. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? That's the thing. My understanding, at least by the 288s, has been that I mean, I don't ever see. I've never seen a set of cases like that for sale for the 288. A lower end like that. I've never seen that on the forum, so I figured I'd put something kind of new on the forum, but also, it'd be nice to kind of keep the flow going. I figured those would be in pretty good demand. But it's the problem is it's really not cheap to get all the services done. So you have to have them repaired, you have to have them coated, all that stuff. So it starts adding up in a crazy way. So I had a quote from, or I had a guy ask me for a quote to build those crankcases into a legit like OEM 288. And I'm kind of thinking that it would probably, for something like that, is going to land you around $1,000, maybe more, just in parts. If you start like putting all those nice OEM pieces on there, oh my word, it would just get completely crazy in a hurry. Let's see. Should I put these cases together? Probably should, shouldn't I? Yeah, oh, I know. It would be great if you had the cash. Yeah, yeah. But it's also kind of not reasonable too in the same sense, because you can still have those things imported for, I think, around the $1,200 mark. I mean, I think 288s are great. You know, I really do. But you can have a brand new made in Brazil one. I think some guy will import it for you. You talk to the right person. Get that all imported and whatnot. It's pricey. For about the same price, you're looking at a brand new, with warranty, Husky 572. So it's a long way towards, like, is it worth it? You know, I don't know. Bob, you know that if you buy that crankcase, I'm gonna have to send you a few extra goodies. You know that. Make sure I take care of my best customer. Is that a threat? Well, I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. It's an interesting thought there. The nostalgia hits hard. I think it's an interesting demographics issue too, because there are people that you know, have their childhood, you know, and everybody, the reason like the Lamborghini Countach or whatever is as pricey right now is because a lot of kids finally then get money and want to relive their childhood type of thing. So to me, that's just an interesting demographics issue. brand new Natchez pates. Oh my God. You'd have to sell a lot of saws. So what I'm actually doing here, for those people that are freshly coming in late, I'm just playing. I'm playing. It's okay. Natchez bearing. 1 or 3. Yeah. Put a little bit of anti-seize in here. Pull this bearing in cold, as I usually do. Where am I pulling? I don't know. Is it out here? Uh-oh. It ran away. No, I had it out. That's the thing. I had it out. I remember it. Here it is. Right here. Sorry, I can get frustrating in a hurry. But yeah, that becomes a demographics thing where, like, suddenly stuff that decreases in value then goes back up in price, and then it comes back down, all because of essentially demand, because children are getting older and they suddenly have money, or they come into money, or whatever. It's a certain point in their life. Do I have a favorite saw to build? I like building 394s. I like building 394s. I like running 394s. I like using 394s. 350s are kind of my old friend because it was not exactly where I started, but kind of what really did give me the start, if you will. I don't know if that's fully down. Don't know if that's fully down. True Grit Scott. Maddie, you started to do a recap project for... Did I miss it with an internet drop? Okay, so the recap on this project is this is a 440, which we took apart not too terribly long ago. And it's going to become a big bore hybrid. That's the idea. So it's a typical 440 has a 50 millimeter top end on it. This is going to 54 millimeters, which is as big as a 288 as far as piston size goes in a package that's a 440. bearing is seated. No, I'm not worried about it. Just wanted to make darn sure the bearing was seated. Okay. Thanks. Greetings. Howdy. So yeah, so the idea here is this is a 440. It's going to go to a 460 big bore top end. It won't have the stroke of a 288, but it'll have the piston size. So you're going up essentially 2 piston sizes in one and a small. So what would be the CC? Maybe like it would probably jump to 85, somewhere around there. I don't know exactly. You're going from 85, 80 some odd cc package, probably in a 70 cc saw chassis. So yeah, so we've got this all clean. The bearing is now in. The cases actually have been on the granite slab and the sandpaper to make them flat. I do have an OEM gasket here, which we're going to use. So lots of fitment needs to be done. The case itself needs to be clearanced in spots. The head needs to be clearanced in spots. So lots of stuff to do, and you got to go through all the steps and make darn sure that you're indeed doing it right. Get everything here with brake cleaner. Yeah, it's a stock 660 size, but it's not that particular head. So the head is actually, if you want the head, you can go look on eBay for 460 big bore, and this happens to come from sawsalvage.co, which is the Duke, Chris Theroff. That's where this particular head comes from. So just to go over the clearances that you need, the first thing you need to do is actually make it so the pattern is correct. So you actually have to grind, because this is a 6mm M6 bolt originally, but you have 5mm bolts in a 440. So here's a 440 gasket. So again, you have to clearance everything like that. So once that's clearance, and you can put this on the saw and see where else to clearance it. This little fin has to come off. I had to cut these fins off just to fit the top cover on. So that's towards the exhaust side. It needs to be ground down. The squish is going to need to be adjusted. Let's see what else. This top fin I'm probably going to need to grind off as well. Check for interferences on the chassis. On the Chinese chassis, there's actually a little bit more interference. The biggest interference on this chassis was on the side. You got to watch out for where the transfer wants to rub. Does that give a good enough explanation as to where we're at? So it's a lot of work. I mean, this is an enormous amount of work for what you're getting. But it does work. So next is the Husky 346 XP bearing. Fits here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to push it in from this side. Yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my bearing. This is a OEM Husky 525 43 4201, which is the same PTO side bearing for a 346 XP and a 576, incidentally. So I've done a lot so far today just on the head to try to get it to mount. There'll be plenty more to do. This is just anti-seize. I like to put anti-seize on here when I pull bearings in cold. Put a little bit of lube on there. It does guide them in a little bit smoother. I'm going to pull this in, like I said, from the oiler side. Now, normally what you'd do on these is you'd actually pull this in to the oiler, but the 346 XP bearing fits in just fine without aligning it to the oiler. How's that for interesting? Is this a first? No, not my first. I did, there may be other folks doing this, but I did this not too terribly long ago, and Mason currently, I'm sorry, Mason doesn't have this saw. I have another friend borrowing it. I won't say who for the moment. Mason does not have this saw currently, but I'm sure he'll get it at some point. So just some 1/2-inch threaded rod. You need a really good assortment of washers to do that. So I'm actually going to bring this in so it's basically flush with the boss on this side. That's all that needs. Now you're... And the oiler will fit perfectly there. You don't need to bring it all the way up against the oiler. No point. Husky bearing because crank swap, or it just happens to be the same as 440. So no, the issue I've been over. Part of the issue is I don't like getting pigeonholed into just having steel stuff. That drives me crazy. So part of the bearing thing is that there's some experimentation going on there. Nice thing about I hate proprietary bearings. I can't stand proprietary bearings. If I got to use one, then I might as well use one with a seal already installed. I don't have to go in and seal later. Now the downside to this, in this particular saw, is that you actually have to adjust the, there's a bushing that goes on the PTO side, very similar to a 372. The bushing does this like triple seal thing, which you no longer have to worry about. The bushing just get turned into a washer instead of part of like the active seal process. So, or a washer or a spacer, whatever you want to call it. So, this makes life a whole lot easier. All I got to do now is take the actual spacer down to the folks, put it on the lathe, and do that. I have to adjust it. You got to grind 3 millimeters off the flywheel side of that bushing in order to make the whole thing fit, but it will fit. Can't stand proprietary bearings. Drives me crazy. That's the phone. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Probably spam anyway. All right. So now we can actually start gooping these up and putting the crank in. Doesn't that sound like fun? So let's get the goop out. Where's my goop? Here it is. 3 bonds 1184. Don't have to use the goop, but if you want to, you can. Gives a little bit of peace of mind if you got any imperfections in the crankcase or whatever, you know. So these again are flat, they're clean, they're degreased. And my crank tools are going to be demonstrated here, and I'll show you guys exactly what those are in just a minute. If anybody wants to purchase crank tools, they can contact me, because I do sell them. I'll show you the benefit to having them and using them in just a minute. Yeah, the 440 had a different bearing set. It's the same. It's basically the same as a 660, except there's a bush thing that kind of goes in there. Good. Now we can pull the crank into there. So I've got a OEM crank that I got off eBay. It's actually in pretty nice shape. Put this to the side for the moment. I don't know where the case bolts are. Oops. I'll find them. So, thread specific rod. This is M12, by the way. By 1.0. Goes on loosey-goosey. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. Large sleeve. And a handle. And I do have these in stock if anybody's interested. Handle down, back off half a turn or so. Nut and washer. 1/4 inch nut and washer. Now the benefit of doing it this way is that you're going to be able to do this completely at your pace with, if I need to take a phone call in here, it doesn't matter. There's no particular rush. There's a handle so that it allows your left hand to be free, and then your right hand can use a ratchet and just bring the crank right in. Now there's no pressure on the bearing. There's no lateral forces on the bearing, so there's basically zero chance you're going to damage the bearing by doing it like this. You can bring this all the way in until it stops. Because there's a lip, you can see that, that the boss of the crankcase is not going to hit the lip. That's it. Reverse it. Your crank is installed on the PTO side. I literally have like 5 minutes before I have to go. So let's see if we can get the other one done. Which we might actually be able to do. For a lot of people, this actually makes building crankcases cost effective. Without these tools, what's needed to do this just makes this so there's no point in doing it, which really kind of sucks. I feel bad in that case. I need to somehow very carefully drive these pins back. No, it's not the same as 660. This one's a little bit on the weird side. And I'll show you why in just a minute. I don't have a good punch for this, guys. Shucks. Oh, I know. There. Just need something to put it on. Just need the position pin to come out a little bit. I don't know why they're so tight. Yeah, there we go. Don't have to be same kit as this. Right, the crank tool for the PTO side is same as 660. Yes, but the flywheel side is completely different ball game. 440 is a pain in the neck like that, and you're going to see that in a quick second. So on the flywheel side, Steel decided it'd be a good idea to do something different. So they have an extremely small seal pocket. Yeah, thanks, Steel. That's really how I feel about it. I think it's kind of stupid, but it is the way that it is. So now I need flywheel rod. So this is M8 on this side, which is different than 660. 660 uses M10. But the really unique thing is the fact that it's got a 19 millimeter seal pocket, which is tiny, and you gotta get the tool in there. No, it isn't. Okay. What is in there? There. The tool has to fit perfectly in that seal pocket. Down, back off. Just a lot of binding. So now you can actually hold this kind of wherever you, this hand will be free, and this hand you can use. So again, with a ratchet, the ratcheting wrench, as opposed to using an open-ended wrench, which again, no lateral forces on the bearing, so there's no damage potential to the bearings here. So this is a small sleeve. The other one is a large. So you need a small sleeve for there and a large sleeve for there. You need M8 and you need M12. So you end up needing 4 different pieces instead of a steel kit. Because I've got a 660 steel kit that just does 660s, and it's only a double-ended rod and a single sleeve. So 2 pieces to do a 660, but cannot do that on a 40. And I forgot the gasket. Shh, don't tell anybody. We're not too far into this, it won't be a big deal. Oh my God, I forgot the gasket. You guys are supposed to tell me. Oh. This isn't going to hurt anything. Because we just got started. Thank goodness. But 3 bond on each half. Yeah, I know, but yeah. Based on who's going to be using this eventually, no. I get yelled at. I don't want to get yelled at. You know what I mean? OEM steel gasket. Bought that for a reason, you know? Oh, same thing all over again. Yeah. Really don't want to, you know, don't be cheap about it, you know, you just So again, if you use this properly, you don't forget the gasket. Essentially no lateral forces on the bearings. So that's kind of the whole idea here is to try to avoid lateral forces on the bearings. The whole crankcase just slips right together, assuming you get your position right. Very important. There's one, there's two. You know what? That front one needs a tap. It's a little tight. Perfect. All right. For anybody that's done the hot and cold method over the years, I've just saved you 1,000 hours here. That's it. That's all you need. It does not need to be any more than that. So now take this apart. The reason the sleeves are made out of aluminum, everybody's like, why did you make them out of steel? Well, you don't want to wreck the seal pockets. Oh yeah. Nice and smooth. So, now I have to go find the case bolts and put those in. Goodies. I forgot what I put them. I don't know. I think these are case bolts. Yeah, you're supposed to catch me. Yeah. Don't worry, I caught myself. But that's why I got you guys. So 5 case bolts, if I remember right. Not impacting them to impact them. I want to just get them in lightly, and then I will do these. And talking like a dork. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again. 1, 2. There's the kids. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Beautiful. Nice and smooth. So, I think I'll call it for the day here. I'll get a squish, send the thing down to to Rattler and get his magic touch on it, and then we'll get it back and do some port work. That's basically how this is going to go. So I'll say thank you so much. Oh man, that is nice. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I do appreciate it. And we're going to have some fun with this some other date. Okay? So, thanks, Bob. Bob, if you want that crankcase, we'll talk, right? So, anyway, guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Be safe, everybody, and have a great weekend. Okay. True Good said, since the 350. Wonderful. It's a thought. Yeah, I know, Bob. All right, well, take care, guys. Appreciate it. See ya.